Welcome to Origin Beyond Identity, a podcast for everyone who senses there is more than meets the eye. I'm your host, Anne Hochwald, and I'm so happy that you're already here for the second episode now. Together we explore what lies beneath conditioning roles and learned identities through perception, intuition, energy, and lived experience. This is your invitation to remember your inner truth and original frequency. Everything here is for you to feel what's true for you. Take what resonates, throw out the rest. On today's episode, actually, I thought we'd be talking a bit more about energy and emotions, which is what I started off with in the first episode. But as I said, I very intuitively let the topics of the episodes come to me. And just before recording this episode, I received the message that I'm supposed to be talking about light and shadow, or brightness, darkness, however you call it. And for your understanding as to how I receive these inputs, like I said, I work very intuitively, and you could say, communicate with the spiritual world or my spirit guides, the energies around me, other possibly beings that communicate with humanity. And these messages, I simply feel them. And to me, that's also something I want to make clear. There is a huge difference between my imagination, which is very vivid, by the way, and between the things that I receive when I just open my senses and let messages come in. Because believe me, the messages that come in are not the things that I would come up with and then also actually put into existence in this life. Believe me, most of the times I would not. But I have really the unbreakable trust that what I receive is meant for me or for others, and I will act on it if it feels true to me. That doesn't mean that I follow it blindly, but when I open myself to these kinds of messages with an open heart and from a loving and lightful position, then I also know that things coming through are meant for, let's say, the greater good. So this is already kind of a bridge to the last episode regarding energy, as obviously these messages somehow have to come through to me. And that is, in the end, through energies and the, let's call it, spiritual world. And I'm not talking about religion, just to let you know I'm not religious or anything. And also about this, I don't believe in one entity or something like that. I just really let my senses guide me. And when I sometimes sense messages, be it words, pictures, but also what I mostly sense about people, about how their energy is, which emotions they're feeling, that's all in a different, well, not a different world, but it's not our typical five senses that we use. Though there, and you can call this clairsentience, I think, you again have similar senses to the ones that we usually use. You then have clairvoyance, where you can see pictures or images, or also hear. Like me, for example, I hear then sometimes words, or also more than just words, sentences being spoken to me. Either I don't know necessarily where they're coming from, but usually I know who's speaking. Can also go further with smell, taste, touch. Like for me, sensing energy is kind of like an extension of touch that is very similar to me personally, but that is very different for everyone. And in the end, actually, anyone can do this. It's just that due to society and, well, let's just think a couple of hundred years back, which is being burned and stuff. That's not the thing that you'd necessarily have said openly that you were working that way a couple of years ago. And even now, I mean, even for me, when I'm talking about this, in the back of my head, my nervous system is going like, don't do that. We're gonna get burned if we do this. People will kill us. This is dangerous. Don't say it. So right now, whilst talking to you, I'm calming down my nervous system to tell it it's safe and that most likely it will not be burnt now, or my body won't. At least that's the plan. And I've gotten off track again. So just to let you know, most likely if you're listening to this, you might also be quite sensitive and sometimes sense things that other people don't. Let me tell you, you're not alone. You're not the only one. There are actually quite a few people that can sense these things already without being, I'll say, trained, especially women, since women are just more, well, let's call it sensitive, and it's easier for them to access that part of their senses. That doesn't mean that men can't do it either. They can be just as sensitive. But just looking at what naturally comes to the different sexes, then it's easier for women. So if I can calm your nerves in a way, you're not crazy. If you, as a kid, had a vivid imagination, or even now still have a vivid imagination, your head comes or mind comes up with all these kinds of pictures when someone just starts talking about something and you think, what the? That's weird. Why did I just see that? That might be an alternate timeline that you're just seeing it play out. Or also because you can receive pictures and visions, that it's easier for you to visualize that than in your mind. Or you sense a lot around yourself, and you sense other people's emotions. You go into a room, you know immediately what's up, who's unhappy, who might be a, let's call it, problem. All these things, these subtle signs that you just put off or try to even then shut down because they make life in our society quite challenging, because we live in a society where performance is usually still advocated above feeling and just being there, being present, receiving whatever you feel, what's coming from the outside to your senses on the inside, and to just be present with that, to accept it and not push through immediately, but to be and sit with that. So what I want to say is, you've been coping, and that's understandable and fine. There's so much more that you could be doing, or just so much more of yourself that you could let shine through, as right now, most likely, you're really restricting yourself in that way. Basically, imagine it like this: you're walking around blindfolded through the world the whole time. Yes, that might mean that you have used the senses at your disposal, but you could see so much more if you just took off the blindfold. Also, you'd realize, oh, I'm not actually blind, because now you might literally feel like you're blindfolded. Like you feel, actually, I could see, but somehow society makes me put on this blindfold. If you get the image I'm trying to make, because it's really the blindfold that you put on. You can't see. You're basically someone who can see with a blindfold on, not someone who's blind. And my guides, let's put it that way, are telling me that I am getting off track, because I was supposed to talk about the light and the dark. And it's actually just coming through what is meant by light and dark. Because as I said, I received these messages sometimes very spontaneously, so I could not prepare. literally came to me whilst doing the introduction. And light and dark. Well, I was already talking about feminine. Feminine, of course, you have the other side, the masculine. And then, yeah, you always have these two sides in our universe, these two sides of which we need both. Life, you, me, us, we wouldn't have come into place without the feminine and the masculine coming together. In the very traditional sense, which I'm not advocating in any way, the masculine would have provided structure, whilst the feminine would have been more of the nurturing side. And that does not mean feminine as in woman. I'm just saying the feminine energy. And of course, a man also has feminine energy and can be just as nurturing, just as a woman can provide structure. Yes, in the end, the woman conceives the child. So far as I know, apart from maybe some medical, no, not, I don't want to say oddities because that somehow sounds judgmental, but apart from very rare cases, usually the woman conceives. Let's keep it at that. And then if you look at traditional Asian culture, you have yin and yang, also with the softer feminine side and the stronger, structured masculine yang side. And these, again, this typical symbol that most of us know, the black and the white, have colors. The feminine is then the black, the dark side. And right now my brain is just drifting away because I was just thinking black and the dark, and then thinking dark Darth Vader, but actually Vader, if you go with the German word Vater, that's father. It's not Dark Mother or Darth Mada, whatever. Yes, now I got off track. But for light and dark, there cannot be light without darkness. Without darkness, you would not see the light. If everything was bright, you wouldn't see. You need darkness to even see that there is light. But also, as soon as you have light, there will be a shadow, so there will be darkness. They both belong together, and they go hand in hand, and there is no one side without the other side. Because often we tend to judge darkness, judge it as something bad. In the end, what is really bad? Because from the intention, usually, even if something that is done in darkness, it's supposed to be good from that perspective. I'm not saying that some things that people do are inherently good. Definitely not. And I do also draw a line there with certain things that people do to other people. But just from the intention, even if you think that might be malicious, from the person's point of view, it might have been something that they thought they needed to do out of revenge or, well, even pure hate, but that is then from a very, or was done maybe from a vulnerable position that they didn't feel loved and feel they have to act that way. I am not in any way trying to defend sexual offenders or whatever, pedophiles. Not my intention here at all, because I can tell you that my sense of justice is very strong, and I really have issues when I see something to not say something. Usually I say something with small things. I mean, obviously, if something really bad would happen, I'd always say something. But regarding that, I find it very hard to look away when I see that there is injustice still. For whatever reason, today I'm supposed to talk about the light and the dark. And there may be also darkness. Darkness brings light into this world. In the end, we or the universe came into existence out of darkness. When we come into existence, we also basically come into existence out of nothing. Well, not out of nothing, but there's a lot of chaos that then gets put into something as beautiful as the life that we then are gifted, or our souls are gifted. As, at least in my belief, our souls are already there before. Because, like I said, energy doesn't get destroyed or created, it is there. So, in my belief, it makes sense that when we die, energy is still there. And yes, the energy of in our skin, our bodies, it might be, if we're cremated, then it will be put into a different chemical and physical state, but the energy of our souls is still there and it moves on somewhere. Maybe it disperses into nature, but maybe it also moves on into another, eventually, not immediately, another human or a different being in this universe or another universe altogether. Energy travels quickly, so there is no issue to really travel across galaxies for a soul, in my belief. Really check with yourself, does this feel true to you? If it doesn't, that's fine. It's totally fine. If you told me this a year ago, I would have also said, okay, yep, moving on. Not because I didn't believe it at all, but I was in such resistance that I wouldn't have been able to really engage with this piece of information. I just realized that I really got off track. So the soul moves on or can move on. And this is something that I actually wanted to track back to, this, let's call it new belief, that during the past months, during my journey of getting to know myself, who I was at my core, at my essence. There, I also didn't just realize that I had a soul and how the soul has lived also in different lives, different timelines. And I'm saying different, not necessarily earlier, because time isn't linear, so it doesn't have to have happened before in a linear sense. And yes, I have learned a lot of things. And one thing, now circling back to the light and the dark, was through the process of coming to realize who I was, what I was, and how to be able to live with myself and all my abilities, maybe also oddities in comparison to the average person in our population, what is defined as normal, not that that is normal, but what is defined as normal right now. That might change in a couple of years and probably will. In that process, I also, by being okay with myself, I started to no longer fear the dark. It really took me a long time to circle back to this, but yes, I was, and I think a lot of people are, scared of the dark. I was for a long time. I might have pushed through it, but definitely scared of the dark, especially since I used and still do to read a lot of fantasy books, so I saw all kinds of monsters. Funny thing is, once I started to open up my senses and realize that there actually is life outside of this planet, our Earth, so I knew that if I sensed something, there might actually be something, I was no longer scared. I wasn't, because I was using my senses. And why am I telling you this? Because something might appear dark slash bad from the outside, but it doesn't mean that it is. I thought in the dark I can't see, so I was scared. Now, using my senses, actually, I feel more safe in the dark. I'm not saying I like the dark necessarily, just because I fall asleep when it's dark, which isn't bad. Also not bad. But I do prefer brighter lighting. That I will admit. Thing is, through opening up my senses than being in the dark, I actually feel I sense more in the dark than when there is light, because when there is light and I see things, I might get distracted. On the other hand, in the dark, I am less distracted. So it makes things a lot more clear. Now, when I walk around in the forest alone in the dark, don't tell my mom I do that, I'm not scared. If someone was approaching, I would sense that. And also, this is not an invitation to all women out there listening to walk around in the forest alone in the dark or through certain cities. Still, be reasonable, know where you are walking. I'm really talking about places where I know it's a good neighborhood and it's fine to walk alone at maybe 6 in the evening. In winter, it's dark at that time, yes. But I'm not advocating leave your common sense behind and walk around alone as a woman at night in weird neighborhoods. No, please don't. We still have common sense, even if our senses may be more open. Use your common sense. It's there for a reason. It protected you for a long time, and we don't have to leave that behind. It's just that it doesn't always have to be the number one go-to authority to make your decisions or judge things by. All right, I'm receiving some more things about light and dark because currently we are in the darkest time of the year, actually, even if the sun might be shining right now when you're listening to the podcast, but we are still in winter. The days are getting longer, yes, but it is the darker time of the year, of the natural cycle of the year, where nature is slumbering, recovering, to then bloom in summer. And also our bodies, if you are actually connected and connect yourself more with nature, they will feel different from being in summer. It's the same as try to lose weight in winter. It will be very different from trying to lose weight in summer, as your natural evolution has told the body, put on fat in winter. If you go against that, I'm not saying you cannot cannot lose weight in winter, but it's a lot harder, as that's not the natural course of things. And the more connected you are with yourself and nature and the natural cycles of nature, the more you will feel that. These natural cycles, they are not directly synced with our calendar that is actually artificial. But that's a whole other topic for another episode. And of course, talking about natural cycles, for every woman out there listening to this, we again have an even more cyclical life and rhythm to go by than men. For men, yes, they also have cycles, and the cycle is one day, kind of. Just judging by the hormones from morning to evening, you have that 1 day cycle, and it's the same every day. Maybe not the same for the 10-year-old in comparison to the 7-year-old, but in general, you have the same cycle every day. Women don't. Every woman listening to this now, you know, and I think I'm also going to do an extra episode on that for everyone who's not that aware of how our cycles are connected also to our intuitive senses, because at least I was not aware of that until maybe less than a year ago. So I will inform you on that. And right now, also circling back again a bit to energy. The energies right now are wild, actually. Not just from the winter part of the energies, but and the veil being thinner there, what it is called, because it's like the veil to, let's call it, the spiritual world. But in general, the energies on from a cosmic point of view right now are something that hasn't been seen in hundreds or thousands of years. And it's really all coming together. And that, for anyone who is sensitive, that'll do something in you, not to you, but you will feel that. You might feel off for no reason, or things might just start feeling really uncomfortable. Things you've been wanting to stop doing, changing for a long time, and it feels like you're being pushed through some cylinder or something and it's getting more narrow, and yeah, it's really not comfortable, let's put it that way. Or you might be having weird dreams, more vivid dreams. Your body might be giving you signs. You might feel, maybe you feel tired or exhausted or maybe weak. Your training, if you train, might be off. Right now is really, uh, we're living in very exciting times. And looking at that from an astrological point of view, I think I can also put that in another episode, because otherwise this will get out of hand and a bit too long. Even if things are feeling off right now, that's not bad. It's not. We need also these times of, just like nature. Nature goes into the winter slumber to then bloom in summer. And sometimes things might get really crazy or chaotic to then restructure themselves, because it often takes these unpleasant moments for us to actually change something. Usually, if it's not that unpleasant, the motivation to actually make a change isn't that great. But now it might be. So if there is something that's getting really uncomfortable for you, use these energies. Make the change. Implement it immediately, not tomorrow, but start right now. There is no better time than now. The next best time is tomorrow. Sure, start tomorrow, but start with something, with a small step, and something that apparently I'm supposed to pass on to you. You have a lot of light. You have so much light inside you. Even if you think, and this again might relate to the stories you tell yourself about yourself inside your head, that might not be the best stories, but you're beautiful. You are a being of energy, and energy is love. You're a being of love, and you are here because you were conceived of love. And even if not from the perspective of the parents in the human body, but souls made an agreement for your soul to come into this world, for your light to shine into this world. And I'd like to invite you to just for a couple of minutes pause, to close your eyes, and to take a deep breath. Through your belly. I'd like to invite you to visualize light inside your heart, a big ball of light inside your heart. The color is up to you. Whatever is the first color that comes to you is your color. And imagine that ball of light warming you from the inside, shining so brightly that others can see it from the outside, that you can see it. I'd like to invite you to expand this ball of light expand it as far as you can. Not just to the outsides of your body, but even further. Let it grow. Grow to the edges of the room you're sitting in. Grow to the edges of the building you might be in. And to expand that ball of light even further through the whole city, if you're living in a city, the whole country, the whole world, past this planet, through the universe. You're a beacon of light. And right now, nothing else matters apart from this light and you, beautiful soul, shining in it. Bathe in that light, bask in that light. Feel what it does in your body. Maybe you feel sensations in other areas of your body. The whole time, focus on keeping that light bright. Maybe you feel a tingling. Maybe other things are moving inside your body. Be with your light. Sit with your light. Now I invite you to slowly come back. Come back in to your body. Let the light disperse. You don't have to pull it in. It can still shine. But start noticing your surroundings again. The surface you might be sitting on or laying on. The physical sensations around you. And this feeling of just being present in the moment, in your light. Remember that. If things seem to be getting dark and you associate darkness with something unpleasant, remember you're always light, whether it's dark or not, but also that the darkness holds no danger in that way. It holds you, it holds everything. It's what everything came from. I hope today's episode was, put it in a way, exciting for you. It was certainly exciting for me, as this was not what I expected at all. Not one bit. And I'm actually still processing what just came through. So this will also be working itself through my own system and probably trigger a lot of new thoughts on my side. So I hope it definitely evokes something in you, sparks a thought, a feeling, other things, sensations. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be super grateful if you could subscribe, rate it, and leave a review, comment. I think on Spotify you can comment this episodes. On Apple you do the review. And if you know someone who might benefit from it, and share it, that would be great. If you have other questions or you would like to hear me talk about certain topics, just send me a DM on Instagram. I will put my contact data in the show notes. I also have a Telegram channel exclusively for women. Sorry to all the guys out there. It's a safe space. At this point, it's only for women. And there I share more personal insights and also some special offers. Though I can already tell you now, it's not the group that will spam you every day. I only share something when I actually have something worth sharing. So, yeah. May you move through your day today with curiosity, checking in. What is light? What is dark? What is it for me? Being more aware of that and just letting a bit more of yourself shining through. See you in the next episode.